Вторник, 1 августа. И я не знаю, что мне делать. Да, я посмотрю свои кассеты.
Come inside, take off your coat, I'll make you feel at home. Now let's pour a glass of wine, cause now we're all alone. I've been waiting all night, so just let me hold you close to me. Cause I've been dying for you, girl, to make love to me. Girl, you make me feel real good. We can do it till we both wake up. Girl, you know I'm hooked on you. And this is what I'll do. I wanna sex you up all night. I want to sex you up. Let me take off all your clothes. Disconnect the phone so nobody knows. Yeah. Let me light a candle so we can make it better. Making love until we drown. Dig. Girl, you know it feels real good. We can do it till we both wake up. Girl, you know I'm hooked on you. And this is what I'll do. Yeah. I wanna sex you up. Make it love until we drown. I wanna sex you up.
Real men of valor, we stand firm and rise. For this truth, we put our lives on the line. We're prepared for war, fearing no confrontation. We hit the highways and byways to wake up the whole nation. We teach us words, we teach us will, we teach us truth, don't matter how you feel. We teach us words, we teach us will. You gon' hear this first, now tell me how you feel.
Shalom, shalom, Shabbat, shalom. What's going on? All praise and glory to the Most High, B'Shem Mashiach Yahweh Shai. This is your brother Mahara. I'm just going to do a quick little study. You know, it is the Shabbat. For those of us that observe the Shabbat, Friday evening to Saturday evening, we understand and we notice that, you know, there's plenty different Shabbat keepers. At the end of the day, you know, everybody got to seek out their own salvation with fear and trembling. You know, so we can make classes to edify, you know, what is the Shabbat? You know what I'm saying? When is the Shabbat? Is it a lunar moon? Is it a 7-day Shabbat? You know, at the end of the day, you know, you can't control the masses of the people. People are going to believe what they want to believe, just like the Christian church, just like Islam, and just like any other so-called religious practice. But what I'm going to go over today is this book called Philo. All right? This book called Philo, Works of Philo. Okay? So these are great references in, of our people. Matter of fact, let me read the foreword. An introduction to Philo Judaeus of Alexandria, right? Philo, usually known as Philo the Jew, Philo Judaeus, or Philo of Alexandria, a city in Egypt with a large Jewish diaspora, population in Greco-Roman times. Lived from about 20 BC to about AD 50. All right. So he was around the time of the Messiah. He was one of the most important Jewish authors of the Second Temple period of Judaism and was a contemporary of both of Jesus, it says here, Mashiach and Paul. Yet Philo is not nearly as well known or as frequently read as the first century AD Jewish historian Josephus, which I have here. Okay, that I'll be reading. Also, you may want to step up your game too, as well as read the book of Ecclesiastical History by Eusebius. Got some information for the virgin birth right up in here. Okay. Anyway, anywho, just had to throw that out there. I had that book for like the past 3-4 years. So, let's give you a quick background of who I am for those that may see my channel on YouTube for the first time. I've been awoken to this Hebrew Israelite awakening since 1992. That's when I was sealed from the Mount Zion camp on 42nd and 8th Avenue in Times Square, New York City. I was 20 years old. It was October 31st. And I saw the brothers out there teaching the word, having a conversation with a so-called Jewish European Caucasian man, and saying that the real Jews are black. Christ was a black man. Jeremiah 14:2, Revelations, the first chapter, Hebrews 7:14, various scriptures. And it was just mind-blowing to me to see black men standing tall and firm. You see what I'm saying? With beards, with their hair, afros, braids, this looking like warriors, like they just came from another planet. And it was just mind-blowing to see that. And I've always been a man, a person that was believed in the Most High, believed in the Bible, searching for answers and never getting answers. And so it was just spiritual when I see these brothers, and it was powerful. And when I asked them what book was they reading, they said the King James 1611 Holy Bible. This record right here. And once that was confirmed, it was over. I said, snap my finger. I said, I knew it. So I always believed in that book. All right. And now I understand why. So I've been on my journey since that particular time, and I started studying the scriptures 3 months later. It was November, December, January. I got incarcerated in county jail for drinking a 50-cent can of beer. So they gave me 90 days, and I copped out to 45 days to work on the chain gang. That means for you to go outside and clean the ditches and all that stuff like that. And that afforded me to be in a different area of the jail. And that's when I ran into another brother that watered me and told me, do you know that you are Israelite? Do you know that you are a Jew? You know what I'm saying? At first, I was looking at like, yo, who is this dude looking at me? You feel me? Like I'm ready to set it off. You know what I'm saying? Because, we in jail. But then he broke down my defenses and he revealed that he was an Israelite. He had the shield on. He had the braids, the beard. And he just chopped me in the scriptures, man. He just showed me some things in the scriptures, and I was blown away. And from that point on, he gave me his Bible, encyclopedia, and I just was studying. And so I've been on my journey walking, doing great things, doing wrong things. It's an up and down, uphill battle. Scripture says, he that endure to the end, the same shall be saved. Scripture says, do not condemn thyself in your faults. 1 John, the 3rd chapter. I believe it's the 18th verse on down. It's a walk. It's definitely a walk. And you probably felt, man, I was going through so much not in the truth, right? And then you come in the awakening, and then you're going through, how they say in St. Louis, hella more stuff. And it's just the walk, because now you have removed yourself from Satan's realm, and you're striving to be in the Mashiach Yahushua. And so there's more evil. Even Yahushua said, the prince of this world have nothing to do with me. We are little speckles of light in this great world of darkness and evil. You see what I'm saying? So it's going to be a trial and error, and many are called, but a few are chosen. So, people here today, they're going tomorrow. People done backslid. and they get back in the race. Some have forsaken Yahweh. People have went to witchcraft. People have denounced being an Israelite, denounced the Messiah. You know, it is what it is, man. I don't get caught up with people I see today because they're going to be going tomorrow. I've been around too long. I've seen the best of them. All right. And so to get to the gist of it, when we came into truth as young men, I was young. You know, my class of brothers that you may know was Priest Zabak, Elder Zabak. He about to go to his eldership soon. I heard he's having an event in December. All right. Shout out to the brother for being a pillar in Israel for years on them highways and byways, teaching, banging. You see what I'm saying? Me and that brother worked together in 2010 up to 2013. You know, we was considered the Batman and Robin duo. You know, me being Robin. I don't have a problem being Robin. But, you know, that's my class. Shalimar Kahan from LOZ, Torah. A lot of these brothers, you know, that was my contemporaries. Priest Kazakia out there in the Israeli School of Biblical Practical Knowledge out in Virginia. Priest Daniel Allah, Lions of Israel. You know, a lot of these brothers, man, these are brothers we was in the same class, same trooper program, things of that nature. Plenty of other brothers, let's ain't mention all of them. Right? So we was taught, okay, when we came in, right, that sex is marriage. All right. We was totally against the system of going to get a certificate of marriage from the state. Even though we have scriptures like Romans 13 that say obey the laws of the land, right? We only going to obey the laws of the land that doesn't conflict with the scriptures. You understand what our law? So let's understand that. All right. So if it doesn't conflict with the scripture, then it's okay. But if it does conflict with the scripture, we're not going to do that in case of homosexuality, right? So we was taught by our elders, you know what I'm saying? A lot of us was young men coming in, lack father figures, raised by single mothers or grandmothers, you know, and we needed guidance. We needed order. We needed structure. And these brothers, these elders, Marshal, Arya, Yaiquab, Lahab, Yeshaya, Sean, Kazak, and generals and captains and everybody else that was under that order, they gave us young men structure. They gave us young men order. They saved some of our lives. A lot of us was we were what do you call it? I'm trying to get the right word, man. Like we were snowballing to hell, right? I know I was. I mean, at this particular time, I was a high school dropout. I was 2 years behind in school, and I was a high school dropout. And when I dropped out of high school, what else I had to do? But run the street, hustle drugs, you know, try to be a D-boy, you know. It was all about drinking, getting nice, trying to get ass. You know, I'm sorry, it's a Shabbat. It's a lot, you know, trying to get the Quabah, it's a lot. And it's trying to be something that you really not. And it was just a nightmare for real, you know, as I tell my students. And everything I did was wrong. Everything was just wrong. You know, I almost got killed, murdered for house hustling out there in the PJs in South Carolina. I mean, I almost shot somebody. I mean, I did a lot of stupid stuff. And there was no reason for me to do it. And the only reason, I'm not the only reason, the main reason was there was no father figure. You see what I'm saying? And I was an angry young man. You know, my mother was institutionalized since I was 10 years old. She wasn't able to nurture me as she could, because she was struggling with spirits. So, I mean, as a whole, one day I may write a book about my life, but the elders taught us sex is marriage. Now I understand more that these brothers was trying to encourage us not to do the things that we was doing before we understood the script. Because to be honest, we was just racking up the numbers, man, boasting and bragging how many, bars you got, you know what I mean? And it was like a ego thing with young men. You know what I'm saying? I smashed such and such. I did that, I smashed her. So it wasn't about, you know what I'm saying, building anything. You know what I'm saying? Of course, you found somebody that you liked and all that. Of course, that's happens all the time. But I understood the point then. I mean, I understand the point now. I understood the point then. But there was more to it. See, Israel has grown since I came into the knowledge. Like, there was not a whole bunch of people. All right. And we were centralized in New York City. So I wasn't out in the Midwest or the West Coast. And we expanded to the West, Midwest, in California, Oklahoma, Texas, right? Chicago. Like our elders was from the Midwest. Ariah and Yaiqua was from Indiana. They was from Indiana. Marshall from Chicago. Okay. Lahab was from North Carolina. Majority of elders wasn't even born and raised in New York City. Okay. So if anybody know the history of Chicago, there's a lot of Israelite influence there with their Old Testament. Right? So the elders was being fathers to us, and they was encouraging us to take some responsibility and don't deal with the women as just a piece of meat like this. We gonna hit, that's it, peace out, shalom, I'm out of here. Okay. And it was good for that time, you know what I'm saying? But now Israel have grown so massively, you know what I'm saying? And the social media and these it's just a whole nother level now. And some brothers got things a little earlier than other brothers, and some brothers didn't. That's just the way it goes. Some of us hold on to, traditions. And through experience, then, you gain knowledge, right? The scriptures talk about you traveling, you gain knowledge. So the concept of this, okay, man, I like this sister. We hung out, you know what I'm saying, is, we got some wine, we drunk some wine, we was chilling. And all of a sudden we got it popping. Now all of a sudden, now you my wife and I'm your husband. Does that truly make sense? You see what I'm saying? And we're talking about women of age. We're talking about women that have children already. Women that's have their own crib. In Spirit of Numbers 30th chapter 9th verse. We're not talking about women that's under their father's authority, that's virgins. You see what I'm saying? And if so, they are under the order of the Most High, consciously. You see what I'm saying? We talking about people just coming to the knowledge, waking up to the truth, and they feeling each other, and they decide to, do the natural order of male and female, and get it popping. All of a sudden, now it's said that you're married. Or some would say you're not married because they don't want to stick to that point of, that belief that they have that sex is marriage. Right? And so throughout the course of us teaching this principle, beginning with Genesis 24th chapter and the end of Genesis 24th chapter, about when Isaac went to the tent where they were, but we forgot all the things that transpired before that. Okay, so when you deal with the term sex is what it is. Sex is sex. We can't make it something extraordinary or something different. Like the word sex is a general statement. It's a general statement. Sex, what it says. Sexual activity, especially sexual intercourse. A sexual urge or instinct as it manifests itself in behavior. Either of the two divisions designated female and male, which is biblical, by which most organisms are classified on the basis of their reproductive organs and function. This is the freedictionary.com. Okay? The fact or condition of existing in these two divisions, especially the collection of characteristics that distinguish female and male. Females or males considered as a group, one's identity as either female or male, genitals, to arouse sexually, right? So we all have genitals, right? And you get aroused. The man get and the woman start flowing like a spring, right? All right, Israelites. All of a sudden you want to you know, you want to fulfill or relieve that itch. Okay. And so therefore you do what's natural as a male and female is that you lay with the person, right? And you'll have that lovey-dovey feeling you get. It's just real talk. So the thing is now, does that action alone makes you a married couple, right? Yes, we're trying to rehearse the righteous acts, and we're trying to live a better life and be a better example, right? But even in the world, and I have to say this sincerely, right? My rib I was with for 14 years in total. 13 years we dwelled in the same house. Zahara, we met in the summer of '99. I met her on a bus, and it was like, I got to talk to her. I said the corniest line to her, sitting behind her. We started talking. I'm up there trying to sell myself to her. Yeah, you know, I work, got a little job, you know what I'm saying, telecommunication on the phone. I'm about to graduate my associate degree. She said I'm graduating my master's. Blew me out the water. She had no children. She worked, and I was like, boom. Right? And she walked me to work. I said, nah, let me walk you halfway back to your dorm. So I walked her back. And that's the last time I seen or heard from her for 2 months later. 2 months, she called me. I gave her my sister's number because I didn't have no phone. And we got to know each other. That August, I would go to her job, take her out to eat, we bring her lunch, stuff like that. And, you know, it's just something about her that I just want to be with her. Like, you know what I'm saying? So we went and we communicated, right? And we went on a date. We went on a date some weeks later. I don't know if it was a month later or whatever, because she was going to college, she was working. I was too. And so we end up going out, having a good time, you know what I'm saying? Went on the Staten Island ferry, went get to see the city. I had my little date thing I used to do. And you know, we ended up spending the night with each other, you know. And I was like, yo, you want to stay at the move? You know, we stay at a hotel because she lived in New Rochelle. And she's like, nah, no. So I convinced her, I said, I ain't going to do nothing. I'm going to do nothing worlds. You know, that was the BS world. So anyway, we stayed at the hotel. We ended up rocking. But, you know, I was in the program at that point of telling, oh, yeah, now you're my wife. I wasn't on that program. You see what I'm saying? But we continued to deal with each other and rock with each other. And then we made the commitment to be with each other. And then we made a commitment to move in with each other. And we moved in each other. We moved with each other in February of 2000, February of 2000, right? So we moved in our apartment together in Parkchester, New York, and we had 2 children. One is 17, one is 18 now. And we was together from 2000 to 2013 for my house split, and we were still together for like a year after that. And, you know, things happen. It is what it is. But since that particular time, like, that was the longest relationship at one length that I've been in. And to be honest, she never accepted the point of being an Israelite until the last 3 years, right? But she respected me as a man. There was no Christmas trees, none of that stuff going on. And she was a wife, and she was a good wife. We went through our ups and downs and trials and tribulations. We got familiar with each other and all that stuff like that. Okay. But my point of saying that is, it seems like when you come into Israel and they just drop this sex and marriage thing, it's just like, it's no proving ground, because you just had some kubah, And shoot, hey, it might be whack, or he might be whack. Oh, then you find out that the nigga crazy or she crazy. You know what I'm saying? So now you under this mindset where you got to be stuck with a lunatic, or you know what I'm saying? Or she got to be stuck, you know, she being stuck with a lunatic, you being stuck with a demon, a Jezebel, whatever the case. And just off that concept that y'all smash. Nah. We cannot teach that. We cannot teach that because that's going to bring nothing but strife. It's going to bring nothing but hatred. It's going to bring conflict. And it's a lie. It's a lie. You can't, and then you can't use the sex aspect to say marriage. And some would do, and then after that, well, we married. You know what I'm saying? You didn't even tell a woman that sex is marriage until after the fact. Or the woman be like, oh, I'm going to seduce this guy. He's going to give me the mama thumb. Now he's my husband. And if you don't be my husband, I'm expose you. You know what I'm saying? Some of us felt that one before, right? So you have to do things better. And we have to understand the word sex. That's what you're basing marriage off, sex. Okay. So we're gonna go through some things in the Josephus and Philo in particular to talk about relationship status, in which he's quoting the law. So we talk about the law. All right. We're talking about the law. And my brother Shalom Malaka Allah. That song came out when I was 12. Yeah. I want to sex you up, right? Okay. The Most High made male and female, created he them, right? Okay. And say the two shall be twined and become one flesh. All right. So that's a sex concept because a male and a female, right, have children, have offspring between the two of you, right? That's why it can look like the father, or it can look like the mother, or it can look like both of you guys. All right. So I'm gonna read a couple of things right now. I think I'm gonna 20 minutes of introduction. This is on the book of Josephus. I'm just gonna read something in here. Flavius Josephus against Oppion. All right. Chapter 2, verse 24. Shout out to Corrupt Zion, Isaiah Yashala, for showing me this particular passage here as well. Okay. So marriage, it says. Let me read this. Okay. It says, but then, what are our laws about marriage? This is the Josephus. Okay. Get your Josephus. Get your historical reference books and stuff like that. And these people, this is Israelite, first of all. But then what are our laws about marriage? Everybody want to talk about what is marriage. What is marriage? The sex is marriage. What makes marriage? What constitutes marriage? Right? The laws owns no other mixture of sexes, but that which nature have appointed of a man and his wife. So you get the word sex from gender, sexes, right? Male, female. By that which nature have appointed of a man and his wife. A man and his wife. And that this be used only for the procreation of children. So here it's saying like sex is only for procreation. Wisdom of Solomon 7:1, balanced description. It says the pleasure that came with sleep. Okay. So the scriptures also, sex is also a pleasurable thing. That's why we like it and enjoy it. And some may enjoy it more than others. It's maybe more pleasurable to them. Okay. Even Sarah said, should I have pleasure in my old age? Okay. Right. You see what I'm saying? Stumble not at the beauty of a woman and desire her not for pleasure. Right. Because some women you shouldn't stumble upon them and desire them for pleasure. Right. We're going to go through that. But it abhors or it hates the mixture of male with a male. Come in with a male or a male. And if come on in. I'm doing a class. What are you bothering me for?
I want to go outside.
Well, you can't go outside right now. I'm doing a class. Go in your room. Don't knock on the door again. And if anyone, close the door, mixture of male with a male, and if anyone do that, death is his punishment. Right? So that's Leviticus 20:13. It commands us also when we marry not to have regard to portion, right? So we shouldn't be, I guess, gold diggers. The gold digger scripture, the gold digger reference, right? You see what I'm saying? For portion or portion. Let's see what the term portion is. Let's get in the definition of what portion can mean. Remember, when you're studying, always have a dictionary. Please use your thesaurus. Look up your synonyms, antonyms, stuff like that. Portion, part of a whole section, segment, ration, allotment. Part of an estate received by an heir, right? Okay, helping or food. A woman's dowry, marriage portion. All right. So we shouldn't marry for financial gain. Okay. It says, nor to take a woman by violence. There go your rape. Okay, so for those that teach about the rape doctrine, right? Argumentatively, we can go and deal with that concept, but why would you want to forcibly, by violence, right, take a woman? Would that woman love you after that? I mean, would you love her after that? Look at the case of Tamar and Amnon, David's son, oldest son, when he so desired his sister, which was against the law, right? He wasn't supposed to deal with his sister, right? Whether she was born at home or born abroad, whether she's the daughter of her mother, of his mother, or the daughter of his father. Leviticus 18, Leviticus 20 goes into these concepts, okay? And so he desired her so much that, he allowed his lust, he allowed his friend to deceive him, and he raped Tamar. He forced her, okay? And then after that, what made it worse is that he dismissed her. And she said, this dismissal of you leaving me is worse than you forcing me. Another thing to ponder on, right? Okay, something else to ponder on. So, nor to persuade her deceitfully and navilishly. I got to look up that. So trying to seduce her, like the scripture talks about in Exodus 22, I think it's 22:10 and Deuteronomy 22, when it's talking about enticed, right? How many of us have enticed women? Okay, you so beautiful, you so gorgeous, you everything. I love you, right? Say anything out your mind or out your mouth, coming through your mind, to get the qurbah, right? You see what I'm saying? So you're saying that not because you really care about the woman or love the woman. You just trying to conquer the woman. That's just what it is, right? But it's saying, nor to persuade her deceitfully. You could be saying, yeah, I got this much money, and I'm gonna make sure I take care of you, and I'm gonna do all these different things for you, and dang well you ain't gonna do none of that you talking about. Okay, right? Damn well you ain't gonna do none of that. You probably ain't got the means to do it. Right? It says navishly. This means crafty. Okay, a unprincipled, crafty fellow. Wow. But that's hard, but an unprincipled, crafty fellow. Okay, and so we have to have principles and guidelines and rules and regulations, man. You see what I'm saying? Right? Isaiah 8:20, to the Lord to the Testament, they speak not according to this word, there's no light in them. A lot of you, sister, you fall for the navishly, right? you fall for that spirit, right? Like it talks about in Exodus and Deuteronomy. But remember, those cases was women that was young women and that was virgins. So we have to make sure we put everything in context according to the situation, or you're just trying to manipulate the scriptures and correlate it to you, and it has nothing to do with you. You see what I'm saying? If it's talking about a virgin, it has nothing to do with you women that's not virgin, that's not under the authority of your father. Okay? You see what I'm saying? You got 2, 3, 10 children. You talk about, I got to go get that permission from your father to marry you. You can make your own vows at this point. You're not a child. You're not up under his authority in terms of, there's a dowry that's going to be issued or received. Like, you know what I'm saying? Oh, yes, go meet the parents. Go meet the family. Of course, do those things. You see what I'm saying? Because I had to meet Zahara's family members. I was inquisition. I was at the restaurant being questioned about my goals in life and what I was going to do and what I see in her and all these different things. You see what I'm saying? I went through those processes. I went through those, right? So what's wrong with going through those things, right? So, and if a man, Exodus 22:16, if a man entice a maid, that's a young woman, a maid, a woman that's a virgin, that's not betrothed, she's not engaged, and lie with her, he shall surely endow her to be his wife, because this woman is a virgin. Okay? She's a virgin. So let's understand, when we talk about virgins, or we're talking about women of age. Okay? All right? Which is this woman right here. So make sure we get everything in the proper context, because people use things out of context as if it fits the situation, and it don't. Okay? And that's because you lack understanding, and you allow anybody to tell you any damn thing. Okay? Which I don't. All right? So Numbers, the 30th chapter and the 9th verse. All right? It says, but every vow of a widow, she's single, and her that is divorced, she is single, wherewith they have bound their souls, shall stand against her. Okay? And that's just crystal clear. All right? So, back to Josephus, Flavius Josephus against Apion, chapter 2:24. And to persuade her deceitfully and lavishly, but demand her in marriage of him who have power to dispose of her, right? To give her away. Like when we was reading about Rebecca being given away by her brother, okay? And her father wasn't alive, okay? So somebody that can give her away, that has the authority over her, okay? Whether it's a father, well, if the father's not dead, then the son is dead. Son's not there, uncle's dead. Uncle's not there, a granduncle or granddaddy or a male cousin, okay? In case of, you Israelites that's up on the elder, okay? An elder that can vouch for you or help make sure that you make the right decisions. You see what I'm saying? When you enter in a relationship, okay? It says, but demand her in marriage of him who have power to dispose of her. So these women, obviously, she probably was a younger woman, of course, all right? And she has someone to oversee her marriage or possible marriage, right? And it's fit to give her away by the nearness of his kindred. So reality is supposed to be someone of the kindred, kinfolk, family member, male family member, because we marry within the kinship for real. So everything had to been done through the family. That's marriage. They didn't say go through the state of St. Louis, Missouri, or New York, the state of New York. It says go through, and is fit to give away by the nearness of his kindred. Okay? For said the scripture, a woman is inferior to her husband in all things. Look at that. Right? A woman is inferior to her husband in all things. So women are under men. I know a lot of sisters don't like it. You get upset, you get in your bag, but that's the truth of the matter. If you don't like it, put the Bible down, go back to the Christian church where you could be equal to Pastor Rufus Johnson III. I mean, that's all you have to do. Why waste your time? You're not going to change the Bible. You're not going to change the scriptures or the spirit of the word. A woman is inferior to her husband in all things. Okay? In all things. That's why scripture said a woman needs to submit to her husband in all things. In everything. Let her therefore be obedient to him. Scripture said you must be obedient. Okay? Right? Not so that he should abuse her, not to the point where you abusing the woman, like, you know what I'm saying? You being an incredible hawk, right? A lion in the house, whatever the case is. You see what I'm saying? Richard of Nottingham, beating it to a pope, right? But that she may acknowledge her duty to her husband. You sister need to acknowledge your duty as an Israelite wife or Israelite woman, right? A husband, therefore, is to lie only with his wife whom he have married, all right? So right here is telling the men that we need to lay with the women that we married to, okay? Not dealing with the prostitutes, not dealing with somebody else's wife, this, that, and the third, and all of that, okay? But to have to do with another man's wife is a wicked thing. So they go to context. Husband, therefore, is to lie only with his wife whom he had married, but to have to do with another man's wife is a wicked thing. All right? So that goes into the spirit of adultery, which we're going to read that in Philo, right? Which, if anyone venture upon, death is inevitable, his punishment, right? Okay? So that's how serious marriage is, okay? Between a male and a female, and a woman a woman should only be loyal to that man, or I don't want to use the term loyal. Yeah, I mean, of course, that's a good term to use, but she'd be dealing with that man and no other man, and vice versa. The man dealing with that woman that's not married or attached to another man, right? No one can he avoid. I'm sorry, let me read again. The husband, therefore, is to lie only with his wife whom he had married. Semicolon. But to have to deal with another man's wife is a wicked thing, which if anyone venture upon, death is inevitable by punishment. No more can he avoid the same who forces no more can he avoid the same who forces a virgin betrothed to another man or entice another man's wife. That's Deuteronomy 2nd chapter, even if she's betrothed. The Lord, moreover, enjoins us to bring upon all our offspring and forbids women to cause abortion of what is begotten or to destroy it afterward. So you want to just smash, then you have a baby, and because you don't want to be with Junebug or Rufus or Earl or Bonquisha or Keisha in them, then your ass is stuck with that baby that's going to come through that relationship that you had, that sex that you had. There's no such thing as abortion. I mean, there's a such thing as abortion. But you're not lawful. It's not righteous for you to do it, right? And a lot of people abort it because they don't want to be with the person they laid with. So how can, even in that cognition, how is sex is marriage? Even in that mindset, people don't want to even keep the child because they don't want to be with that person, right? But there's a judgment for you doing that because you shouldn't have laid with the person then, right? You see what I'm saying? You shouldn't lay with the person if you didn't want to really be with them or you didn't took the time to get to know them. Now, you stuck, right? And a lot of us have experienced that stuckness, okay? Right? I, for one, you have the regrets. I shouldn't even dealt with this person. Now I'm stuck with a baby, with them. Okay? That's a big time curse that's happening in the nation of Israel, because Deuteronomy 28:30 said, "Thou shalt betroth a wife, and another man shall lie with her." Right? Sirach 9:9, Sirach 23:23, talking about women going laying with other men and having children by. Right? Okay? Or men just having children with these women that they just trying to rack up on a notch, and they just having babies. That's all they're doing, is having babies, and they're not dealing with the children. And then now some other brother gonna have to come and raise another man's child. You see what I'm saying? And then that becomes a problem. That becomes a difficulty, especially if the male want to be back around in the life, or then the children grow up and they start realizing you're not the dad, and there's come to disrespect. You see what I'm saying? This is not how we dealt, right? And the children will stay within the family or for the kinship anyway, where if anything would happen, then it's the male family members that was going to raise those children because they of that family. See, we're not keeping no righteous marriage system at all as a nation. Okay? You're not. We all a bunch of pretenderites, man. We're not keeping this law of marriage to the T. Okay? You're not. I did a class years ago about kissing cousins. Kindred marriage. You see what I'm saying? If you married your cousin, no matter how mad she get at you, she can't keep your children away from you because her mother or her father is your uncle or aunt. Y'all got the same grandparents. Y'all got the same cousins. Where you taking my children at? Where you going? You ain't going nowhere. Where he going? He ain't going nowhere. You see what I'm saying? But it is what it is. All right. Let me read 202 again. The law, moreover, enjoins us to bring up all our offspring and forbids women to cause abortion or what is begotten or to destroy it afterward. You get that in the book of Exodus, the first chapter. Right? That's a prime example of abortion, killing the children. Okay? The woman refused to do that. And if anyone appears to have so done, she would be murdered. She would be a murderer of her child by destroying a living creature and diminishing humankind. Right? If anyone therefore proceeds to such fornication or murder, he cannot be clean. All right? So these are questions you might want to ask a woman too. Have you ever committed abortion? You see what I'm saying? Because it's not like they born a child and then murdered the child outside the womb. They murdered the child within the womb. So now these women have a death womb, a death quabah. Death is in their womb. Okay? Right? But sex is marriage, right? So you put Mama Thon in the death womb. So, boom. Right? Okay? So now you're not engaged in the death quabah. Right? Think about that. Okay? Moreover, the Lord enjoins that after the man and wife had lain together. Moreover, the Lord enjoins that after the man and wife have lain together in a regular way, they should bathe themselves, for there is defilement contracted thereby, both in soul and body, as if they have gone into another country. For indeed, the soul, by being united to the body, is subject to miseries and is not freed therefrom again, but by death, on which the account the Lord requires the purification to be entirely performed. Right? So after you get it popping, it's telling you you need to bathe yourself, you need to wash yourself. It's going into a spiritual aspect of body and soul connecting. Right? Right? So this is why we should have been reevaluating the principles of sex as just marriage. Okay? Because you want to make sure that this is a person you want to be with. You see what I'm saying? Because you're still going to have some type of connection, obviously, some more than others. But when you release to see the compilation of these different things, you're unclean. Scripture says you're defiled. And read again, moreover, the Lord enjoins that after the man and wife have lain together, have sex in a regular way. They should both bathe themselves, but there is defilement contracted thereby. Right? Both in soul and body, as if they have gone into another country. For indeed, the soul. So, those are different countries. Like, that's why we really shouldn't be dealing with women that have been in various countries. Right? Right? And it's both of them. The women say, well, you've been in a bunch of countries too. Right? By being united to the body as subject to miseries and is not freed therein, again by death, on which account the law requires the purification to be entirely performed. So I guess this is why Mary also in the story had to do purification according to the law. Ooh. Anyway, so I just want to read that introduction right quick. Okay, check it out. Flavius Josephus against Apion, chapter 23, book 2, chapter 24, I guess it is. Check it out. You know, get some edification. I mean, you know, some people don't believe in you know, some of these records, but you know, that's your choice. You'll understand if it does. You know, he's an Israelite. He's a priest. I mean, what do you want? We have Israelite priests and historians, like the white man and all other nations have historians and priests or whatever the case is, that been around, that was there, that understand the law, statutes, commandments. So I'm gonna jump here now. It's called Special Laws, Philo. Special Laws 3. Okay. A lot of information. I don't know. There's a lot of information. I read this and studied this. There's a lot of stuff in here. I might not try to do too much edifying because I don't want to be here all day, to be honest. So let's just read. Let's see. Where we gonna start at? Where am I gonna start at? Okay. So he's going into the 10 Commandments, going to different laws, right? Let me read a couple of my highlights. It says, I reap the fruit of excellent, desirable, and blessed intellectual feelings, being always living among the divine oracles and doctrines of which I fed insistently and insatiably to my great delight, never entertaining any low or groveling thoughts, nor ever wanting wallowing in the pursuit of glory or wealth or the lights of the body. This is Philo giving a dissertation concerning himself, right? But I appear to be raised on high and born aloft by a certain inspiration of the soul, and to dwell in the regions of the sun and moon, and to associate with the whole heaven and the whole universal world, right? At that time, therefore, looking down from above, from the air, and straining the eye of my mind, and from a watchtower, I surveyed the unspeakable contemplation of all things on the earth, and looked upon myself as happy as having forcibly escaped from all the evil fates that can attack human life. Nevertheless, the most grievous of all evils was laying in wait for me, namely envy, right? That hates everything that is good, and which suddenly attacking me, did not cease from dragging me after it by force to have taken me and drowned me into the vast sea of the cares of public politics, in which I was and still am tossed about without being able to keep myself swimming at the top. So it's telling you about envy is one of the most grievous of all evils. Okay? Right? Jump to another highlight. I'm not giving up for the whole of my life to darkness. Behold, therefore I venture not only to study the sacred commands of Moses, but also with an ardent love of knowledge to investigate each separate one of them, and to endeavor to explain to those who wish to understand them things concerning them which are not known to the multitude. Right? So a lot of people don't know the law, statute, commandments. They don't understand this wisdom that the Most High gave us through our big brother Moses. Okay? Right? And since of the 10 Commandments, which the Most High himself gave to his people without employing the agency of any prophet or interpreter. So we get that in Exodus 31 and 30, when the Most High said the 10 Commandments were written with the fingers of the Lord. All right? So he didn't need any prophets or Moses, anybody to write that. That was directly written by the hand of the Most High, the 10 Commandments. Certain brothers made points concerning the divine law, or this, that, and third one. Those 10 Commandments are directly written by the Most High, by Shema Mashiach Yahushua. Okay? It says 5 which are engraved in the first tablet have been already discussed. They already talked about that. So now we're going to get to the next 5. So now the second table, this is the first commandment. So in the second table, you have 5 on one and then 5 on the other, right? So now the second table, this is the first commandment. Thou shalt not commit adultery. Okay? So how do you commit adultery? You have sex, right? How do you commit adultery? Sex. Because I imagine in every part of the world, pleasure is of a great power. So there go that word pleasure again, and it's here, right? And no portion of the world has escaped its dominion, neither of the things on the earth, nor of the things in the sea, nor even of those in the air, for all animals, whether walking on the earth or flying in the air or swimming in the water, do at all times rejoice and pleasure. So sex is not just something that was given to man. All species and all life enjoys pleasure. Sex. Right? Okay? And cultivate it and obey its behest. And look to its eye and to its nod, obeying it with cheerfulness. Okay? So sex, pleasure, as referenced in the scripture, is a very powerful spirit. Very powerful spirit. Okay? Right? And so understand, we're talking about the concept of sex. Therefore, even that pleasure, even sex, which is in accordance with nature, is often open to blame. Okay? With anyone indulge in it immoderately and insatiably, as men who are unappeasably voracious in respecting of eating, even if they take no kind of forbidden or unwholesome food. Right? So sex is being compared to, let me read this one more time. It's a lot. Therefore, even that pleasure which is in accord with nature is often open to blame when anyone indulges in it, just sex, immoderately and insatiably, right? So let's look up these words, immoderately. Okay, let's look up these words, immoderately. Immoderately. Okay, immoderately means exceeding normal or appropriate bounds. Okay, without moderation, in a moderate manner, he eats immoderately, right? To the degree that exceed the bounds of a reason or moderation, right? High, right? Some people have a very high drive, right? And moderate, okay, right? They do it all, socks and drawers, okay. And then it got an insatiable, bully, right? Impossible to saturate or satisfy, right? Right? So insatiably, like it's hard to satisfy, not able to be satisfied. So if you have that immoderate and insatiable appetite, then it's obviously you're going to need more. All right? Okay? You're going to need more. And it's compared as men who are unappeasably voracious in respect of eating, even if they take no kind of forbidden or unwholesome food. So the scripture talk about eating in moderation. So this is the same as some people overeat. And you become obese because you overeat, right? And as men who are madly devoted to association with women, right? So we have men that are madly. Okay, what does the word madly mean? Madly. Okay. I'm going to the freedictionary.com. It says in a crazy way, insanely, in a wild manner, fanatically, in a foolish manner, rashly. Right? Okay, that's what it says. And then it goes and says, as men who are madly devoted to associate with women and who commit themselves to an immoderate degree. Excuse me. All right. Not with, all right, it says, Special Laws 3, it says, as men who are madly devoted to associate with women and who commit themselves to an immoderate degree, not with other men's wives, but with their own. Right? So you have men that want to have the cabal warfare 10, 20 times a day, right? Right? Or he may have multiple women because he's what? He's not satisfied, right? That's what it said in this reference. Still, this sort of reproach as affecting most men, see, affecting most men, this is nothing new. It's not a new concept. Something that affects most men, okay? This pleasure, this sex that was given to mankind, the animal kind, and everything that we read earlier. It is what it is. Still, this sort of it says that still this sort of reproach as affecting most men is one rather of the body than of the soul, right? So it's fleshly. It's not spiritual. You know, the flesh and the spirit war against each other, right? It's a mental thing. It's spiritual, okay? Well, it's talking about it's physical. It's one rather of the body than of the soul, since the body has a vehement flame within, which consumes the food which is offered to it, and seeks other food at no great distance, by reason of the abundant moisture, the stream of which is conveyed into the most secret parts of the body, creating an itching and stinging and incessant tickling. So I mentioned that itching, of the stinging, the tickling, and a lot of women can relate to the tickling because they be talking about they say the itch, the tickling. I gotta relieve this itch, right? So you got women that have a high drive, men that have this high drive, this tickling, this itching, this stinging, and incessant tickling. What does that word incessant mean? Let me see what that means. Okay, maybe I can share my free dictionary. Let me see if I can share my free dictionary. Okay. What is it? And continuing without interruption, right? So, in other words, you always in the on worlds. Continue without interruption, unending, right? Most secret parts of the body, right? What's the secret parts? Now we got another word that's using the secret parts, as Isaiah 3:15, 16 on down. Talk about her secret parts, right? This itching. And you know, if you get your back start itching, boy, you want somebody to scratch your back, right? Can you scratch right here? Because, you know, I'll be getting the itch all the less. I'll be like, hold on. Let me get the itch. Scratch my back. That itching. What, boy, I got to, see what I'm saying? So what about the itching on the secret parts? Right? All of us done got the itch. And the itch, and I ain't talking about like, itch when you got to go to the damn doctor or nothing like that. The stinging and incessant tickling. 11. But you don't say, like, if somebody tickle you, want it to stop. Somebody that's trying to tickle you. And you're like, stop, please stop. You like it, but you want it to stop too, though. Right? Okay. But those men who are frantic in their desires for the wives of others. See, this tickling, the stinging, and itching. When you stumble, it said, stumble not at the beauty of a woman and desire her not for pleasure. Right? The brother may got a beautiful wife, but that's his wife. Right? That's his possession. Right? But those who are frantic in desire for the wives of others, and at times even for those of their nearest relations or dearest friends. Right? So now you have them also will even deal to try to relieve that itching and stinging and incessant tickling for nearest relations or dearest friends. All right? So you have no boundary. Right? That's where you get this molestation. Right? That's happening rampantly in our nation and in this society because of this itching, this stinging, this incessant tickling, this sex drive that you will even deal with your nearest relations. Leviticus 11, Deuteronomy 20. That's not marriage. That's not marriage. Being with another man's wife, that's not a marriage. But you had sex. See, understand? Understand the concept. You're saying sex is sex alone. Concept of sex, marriage. Okay. Or dearest friends, and who live to the injury of their neighbors, attempting to vitiate whole families. Let me look up that word. V-I-T-I-E. Vitiate. To reduce the value or quality of, impair, or spoil. Okay? Right? To spoil. Right? To corrupt, to pervert, to destroy. Okay? So you want to deal with nearest relations or dearest friends, right? You want your man's rib, and who live to the injury of their neighbors, attempting to vitiate their whole families, however numerous, and violating all kinds of marriage vows, and making vain the hopes which men conceive of having legitimate children. Because now this woman crept around, right? She crept around. You crept around with her. Now she's pregnant. You can't have an abortion. You don't supposed to have an abortion, but then you may have the abortion because now you know you violate. And so you know that right there is proof in itself that you committed adultery. Just like David, King David did when he committed adultery with Bathsheba in the case of Uriah. Okay? And so he had to come up with a plan instead of trying to kill the baby, because one, the baby was his, but two, it was gonna prove that Bathsheba committed adultery because he was at war. So he had to try to gas my man up to come home and get drunk, to parlays and go lay with his wife, but he didn't do it. And so from this point on, David was about to say, "Oh, I gotta take him out." You see what I'm saying? Because I'm about to get caught, right? But the Most High see all, right? You can't hide from the Most High, right? So that's what's going on so far. Okay. So in the case of David and Bathsheba, right? And also Sirach 23:23 talks about the same point here in Ecclesiastes 9. Ecclesiastes 9:9, what it says. Verse 8, turn away thy eye from a beautiful woman and look not upon another's beauty, right? For many have been deceived by the beauty of a woman, for wherewith love is kindled as a fire. Was that kindled? that itching, that stinging, that incessant tickling. And it says, sit not at all with another man's wife, nor sit down with her in thy arms, and spend not thy money with her at the wine, lest thy heart incline unto her, and so do thy desire thou fall into destruction. All right? Okay? So Ecclesiastes 23 about the children. What it says, thus shall it go, also go, Surah 23:22, thus shall it go also with the wife that leaveth her husband, and bringeth in the heir by another, having sex. She left this man to be with another man, for first she hath disobeyed the law of the Most High, and secondly she hath trespassed against her own husband, and thirdly she hath played the whore in adultery, and brought children by another man. She shall be brought out into the congregation, and inquisition shall be made of her children. Her children should not take root, and her branches should bring forth no fruit. In the case of Bathsheba and David, the baby was killed. And her children should not take root, and branches should bring forth no fruit. She shall leave her memory to be cursed, and a reproach shall not be blotted out. Okay? And they that remain should know there's nothing better than to fear Yahweh, and there's nothing sweeter than to take heed unto the commandments of the Lord. It is great glory to follow the Lord, and to receive of him is long life. Okay? So as it says over here in Philo, it says about legitimate children being afflicted with an incurable disease of the soul must be punished with death as common enemies of the whole race of mankind, in order that they may no longer live in perfect fearlessness, so as to be at leisure to corrupt other houses, nor become teachers of others who may learn by their example to practice evil habits. Okay? So as we grew up in this system, and we see that these things happen all day, every day. It's in Hosea, the 4th chapter, 14th verse on down. It's a curse that's written in Deuteronomy 28 and 30. Because the Most High said, because you don't want to listen to me and follow me and love me and keep my law, statute, commandments, and I be your glory, then I'm going to take your glory, your woman, and cause her to trespass against me. It's also in the book of Jeremiah. Okay? So these are punishments. All right? And that's what the scripture says, those that don't understand should fail in Hosea 4. All right? But let's continue. So having sex with a married woman is not marriage, obviously. Point 3. Moreover, the law has laid down other admirable regulations with regard to carnal conversations, where it commands men not only to abstain from the wives of others, right, but also from certain relations to whom it is not lawful to cohabit. Therefore, Moses, detesting and loathing the customs of the Persians, repudiates them as the greatest possible impiety, for the magistrates of the Persians marry even their own mothers, and consider the offspring of such marriage as the most noble of all men, and as it is said, they think them worthy of the highest sovereign authority. Okay? So we have the Persian and Medes, that their customs and their traditions, their belief system was that they married their own moms. All right? They married their own mother. Now, what the scripture says in Leviticus 18. This is sex now. This is sex. So sex can't be marriage. So sex alone cannot be marriage. The concept of your same sex. Leviticus 18. None of you is sick. None of you should approach to any that is near of kin to him to uncover their nakedness. I am Yahweh. The nakedness of thy father, or the nakedness of thy mother. Nakedness of thy mother shall thou not uncover. She is thy mother. She is thy mother. Okay? So, if sex is marriage, then sex with your moms, she's your wife. If sex is marriage. See, we got to understand the concept of what's being said. The sex, the pleasure part, is that constitutes a marriage alone. Okay? You see what I'm saying? So we got to make sure that we clarify these things and edify that it be crystal clear what's being said. All right? So we read about the Persian. We know we was under the Persian Mede captivity. So you know a lot of us got a lot of that from being in captivity during the Persian and Medes. Right? And it says, and yet, what can be more flagitious act of impiety than to defile the bed of one's father after he is dead? That's why we got these examples of Reuben sleeping and defiling Jacob's couch, right? We have Deuteronomy 27 goes into we got Leviticus 18 also in 8, the nakedness of thy father's wife shall thou not uncover. It is thy father's nakedness. I mean, that's not your mother, but that's thy father's wife, right? You have Deuteronomy 27 that says the same thing concerning dealing with your pop's wife or your mother. That's your father's wife, right? 27 and 23. Cursed be he that lie with his mother-in-law, right? So if you lay with your mother-in-law, have sex with your wife or mother, is that your wife? Sex is marriage, though. Sex is marriage. Let's deal with the concept. Sex is marriage, right? It says Leviticus 27. This is Leviticus 20. Deuteronomy 27 and 20. Start with 20. Cursed be he that lied with his father's wife, right? Because he have covered his father's skirt. And all the people should say amen. So just like Reuben uncovered who? Jacob's skirt, right? Genesis the 49th chapter. Reuben, thou art my firstborn, and 3, my might in the beginning of my strength. The excellence of dignity and excellent power, unstable as water, thou shalt not excel, because thou wentest up to thy father's bed, then defilest thou it. He went up to my couch. Okay? The nakedness of my father's wife shall thou not cover. It is thy father's nakedness, right? So that's Leviticus 18 and 8. Again, let me go back to Deuteronomy 27. It says 27 and 21. Cursed be that lie with any manner of beast. So having sex with a beast. Get your beast on. Is that marriage? Did you marry the cow that you smashed or the horse? Man or woman? Is that y'all married? You slept with the dog? Sex, you had pleasure. Cursed be he that lied with his mother-in-law, and all the people should say, amen. I read that already. Cursed be he that lied with his sister, the daughter of his father, or the daughter of his mother. And all the people should say, amen. So when Amnon had sex with Tamar, they didn't stay married. When Judah had sex with Tamar, his daughter-in-law, when she played the harlot, she dressed up like the prostitute, and he smashed and had a whole baby that became a lineage, elder, or a forefather of the tribe of Judah. It said he didn't deal with her anymore, but he had sex with her. So is that a marriage? Is that a marriage? That's Genesis the 38th chapter. I believe that's Genesis 38th chapter. Let me go there right quick. Genesis 38. Genesis 38. 13. Genesis 38, 13. It was told Tamar, saying, behold, thy father-in-law goeth up to Timnah to shear his sheep. And she put her widow's garments off from her, and covered her with a veil, and wrapped herself and sat in the open place, which is by the way to Timnah. For she saw that Shelah was grown, and she was not given unto him to wife. When Judah saw her, he thought her to be an harlot, because she had covered her face. So harlots cover their face. Man, I wish I understood that concept some years ago. But then again, I can't say that now because I can't say that now. And he turned unto her by the way and said, Go to, I pray thee, let me come in unto thee, for he knew that she was his daughter-in-law. And she said, What wilt thou give me that thou mayest come in unto me? Right? And she said, What wilt thou give me that thou mayest come in unto me? And he said, I will send thee a kid from the flocks, my man. And she said, Wilt thou give me a pledge till thou send it? So he make an agreement to get the qurbah right here. You have to pay something for the qurbahs. Right? And he said, What pledge shall I give thee? She said, Thy signet and thy bracelets and thy staff that is in thy hand, giving it all up. And he gave it her and came in onto her, and she conceived by him. So he got the qurbah. He ain't even pull out. Blue. Blue, 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 blue. Oh, boy. And she arose and went away and laid by her veil from her and put on the garments of her widowhood. Right? And so when you continue to read, they said at the end of it, I'm going to get to that point. Birth of Zerah and Perez, and it came to pass in the time of her travail that behold, twins were in her womb, and it came to pass when she travailed that the one put out his hand, and the midwife took and bound upon his hand a scarlet thread, saying, This came out first. You got this first and second thing coming on. Oh no, that's not the one I want. I want to wear right here, verse 25. And when she brought forth, she sent to her father-in-law, saying, By the man whose these are, am I with child. She said, Discern, I pray thee, whose are these signets? Who are these? The signet and bracelets and staff. And Judah acknowledged them, and said, She had been more righteous than I, because that I gave her not the Shelah, my son, and he knew her again no more. So now he had a whole baby by her. He had sex with her, had a whole baby by her, and they not married. And he had one of the forefathers, Perez. How about that for the lineage of Yahushua? That in Yahushua lineage, he has a father-in-law, a forefather, that got him some harlot qurbah that he thought was a harlot, right? End up being his daughter-in-law. And she had twins by him. That's the root of Judah. That's part of the root of Judah. Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Judah, Tamar, which is written in the lineage of Mashiach Yahushua in Matthew, 1st chapter. So you people that try to deify, I'm going off topic, deify the birth of Yahushua and make it so immaculate, with his whole lineage is immaculate in terms of all type of controversies, all type of things that happen, from adultery with David, from Rahab the harlot, the Canaanite harlot, to Ruth the Moabite. I mean, it's just so much. It's whatever. Okay. Anyway, so that wasn't a marriage. The sex part, right? That wasn't a marriage. I'm just reading what it's saying. Understand? So that was not considered a marriage. Okay? So let's continue in Philo. It was in Philo, right? Okay. So multiple scriptures, 1 Corinthians, the 5th chapter, talks about the same concept of desiring to have your father's wife. And even one of David's sons, who he tried to usurp the throne from Solomon, he tried to get David's wife. After David was dead, he got put to death for that. Solomon took him out. That was the last straw for him. Right? 1 Corinthians 5. He's in the Greek Empire. I mean, he was in Rome, but he was in the Greek province. But for his reported comedy that there's fornication among you. What's the fornication? What's the fornication in 1 Corinthians 5? Because y'all try to use 1 Corinthians 7 as monogamous scripture, which is false. It's reported commonly that there's fornication among you, and such fornication as not so much as name among the Gentiles, that one shall have his father's wife. That was the fornication that's being reiterated in 1 Corinthians 7:1. Now, concerning the things whereof he wrote unto me, 1 Corinthians 5, it is good for a man not to touch a woman. So, needless to avoid fornication. What's the fornication? That. But anyway, okay? So these heathens, in these regards here, was doing these practices, right? Okay? So, not dealing with your father's wives, whether it's your mother or whether it's your mother, your your mother, your second mother, all right, which is not, you didn't come out her womb, but she's still your mom's, right? But our Lord's point 20, but our Lord guards so carefully against such actions as these, that it does not permit even a stepson, which his father is dead, to marry his stepmother on account of the respect which he owes to his father, and because the titles mother and stepmother are kindred names. I don't know what happened there, but please, hello, hold on one second, please. Give me a second. Excuse me. All right, I'm back. I had some technical difficulties. All right, hope I'm still there, still rocking and rolling. Okay, so where are we at right now? It says, but our Lord God so carefully against such action as these, that it does not permit even a stepson when his father is dead, to marry his stepmom or stepmoms, it says here, on account of respect which he owes to his father, because the titles mother and stepmother are kindred names, even though the affections of the souls may not be identical, okay? Because he's not of the natural lineage of that family, okay? But if I have a stepson, okay, right, he cannot deal with my wife, whether I'm dead or not. So that's, he having sex, but that's not marriage. That's the point. For the man who was thought to abstain from her, who has been the wife of another man, because she is called his stepmother, will much more abstain from his own natural mother. Right? See? You naturally more in your mind know I smash my own moms. And if anyone, on account of his recollection of his father, shows a respect owed or respectful awe of her who has formerly been his wife, right? It is quite evident that he, because of the respect which he feels towards both his parents, is not likely to mediate any improper conduct to his mother, since it would be downright folly for a man who studies to please one half of his family and to appear to neglect it in its wholeness and integrity. Okay? So stepsons, right? Okay, or stepdaughters, right? You shouldn't deal with them. You get in a relationship, the woman have children, you have daughters as a man, you cannot deal with those females. even though they are not of thy lineage or kindred, you are a father to them. And vice versa, you are a mother to that son. Or if you a stepson or a stepdaughter, then that's a father figure or a mother figure. So sex in those regards can't be marriage, even though there's no blood tie. Okay? But there follows after this command not to espouse one sister. So now you can't marry your sister, which is an injunction, or deal with your sister, have sex with your sister, which is an injunction. It said espouse one sister, which is an injunction of great excellence, and which contributes very greatly to temperance and good order. Therefore, the Athenian lawgiver, Solon, when he permitted men to marry their sisters by the same father, forbade them to marry those by the same mother. So it's okay for you to marry your sister by the same father, but you couldn't marry your sister by the same mother, which is crazy because the father, you know what I'm saying, you know, he determined the sex of the child, but you can marry your sister, right, by the same father, but not your sister married by the same mother. Let me say it again. Solomon, when he permitted men to marry their sister by the same father, forbade them to marry those by the same mother. But the lawgiver of the Lacedaemonians, on the other hand, allowed a marriage between brothers and sisters by the same mothers, but forbade those between brothers and sisters by the same father. Right? While the lawgiver of the Egyptians, ridiculing the cautious timidity of the others, as if they established in perfect ordinance, gave the reins to lasciviousness, applying in great abundance that most incurable evil and temperance both to body and soul, and permitted men fiercely with any impunity to marry all their sisters, whether by both parents or by one, or by either, whether father or mother, and that to not only if younger than, but even when older than, or of the same age as themselves. For twins are very often born, which nature, indeed at their very birth, have deserved and separated, but which incontinence and love of pleasure is invited to association, which ought never to be entered into a most inharmonious agreement. So they was even marrying the twins, as we see people doing that today. But the most sacred Moses rejecting all those orders with detestation as being quite inconsistent with and the variance with any praiseworthy kind of constitution, and as laws which encourage and train people to the most disgraceful of all habits, most let me look up this word. I can't even say it. Where is it? Subject to no further debate or dispute, final, not allowing contradiction or refusal. Okay. Prohibit any connection with man's sister, whether by both parents or whether only by one of the two. For why should one seek to deface the beauty of modesty? And why make virgins destitute of all modesty, to whom it is becoming to blush? And moreover, they should one be willing to limit the association and connection with other men, and to confide a most honorable thing within the narrow space of the walls of a single house, which ought rather to be extended and diffused over all continents and islands in the whole inhabited world. For the intermarriages with strangers produce new relationships, which are in no respect inferior to those who proceed from ties of blood. So it's saying here, why would you try to marry your own sister? Because that's the context that we're reading. Okay? So you can't marry your sisters, period. Whether it's from your same father, same mother, both parents, twins, none of that. You cannot marry your sister. So you're having sex with them, dealing with them. You can't be with them. You cannot be with them. That is not an honorable relationship. Okay? And even when you read about Amnon and Tamar, she was trying to gas him up, leave her alone, and say, listen, my father may even give you me. Okay? You see what I'm saying? So don't try to take the Qubat. Go ask our father David. He may give you me. You see what I'm saying? She was trying to say anything to get this itching, tickling man away from her. Okay? Because he was tripping. He was madly in love with her. And there was nothing that she could do because he would overpower her. It was just a crazy situation, right? It was just a crazy situation for that to happen to that sister. You know what I mean? So we got grandchildren, on which account our lawgiver has also forbidden other matrimony connections, commanding that no man should marry his granddaughter. Right? So, would you have sex with your granddaughter? You can marry her. Right? Marry his granddaughter, whether she be his son's or daughter's child, nor his niece, nor his aunt, nor his grandmother, by either father or mother, nor any woman who has been the wife of his uncle, or of his son, or of his brother, nor again any. So check this out, right? And this happens all the time in the hood. Let's keep it 1,000. Well, she be the sons of, so no man should marry his daughters, his granddaughter, whether she be his son's or daughter's child. That's off as hell. I mean, all of it's off. Nor his niece, right? Nor his niece, nor his aunt. Remember, Moses' father married his aunt. Nor his grandmother. Tripping. By either father or mother. Grandma, Uncle Bob. Nor any woman who has been the wife of his uncle. So because your uncle ain't with that woman no more, you can't rock with her. Or his son, right? The son had a bad woman. He ain't with her. You can't get it. It's a Reynolds. Or his brother. You can't be smashing your brother's wife, your brother's ex, or whatever. Nor again any stepdaughter. So you Negroes out here that's up there predatorizing your wife or your woman's daughter, you going the hell off. Okay? You can't have the mother and the daughter. Period. So if you chose the mother and you see the daughter bad as hell, too bad for you. Reynolds. Or if you saw the daughter, you got with the daughter, and you see the mom, like, oh man, I would rather get with the mom. Done. Whether virgin or widow, whether his own wife be alive or even after her death. For in principle, a stepfather is the same as a father, right? And therefore, he ought to look upon his wife's daughter in the same light of his own. Period. So if you get into a relationship with a woman and she got a child, daughters, you cannot deal with them. Again, he does not permit the same man. He does not permit the same man to marry two sisters. So you can't get the sister so that's not a marriage. All right? You got one, you got your wife, and you want her sister. No. Neither at the same time, nor at different periods. even if he had put away the one whom he previously married, for while she is living, whether she be cohabiting with him or whether she be put away, or if she be living as a widow or she be married to another man, still he did not consider it holy for her sister to enter upon the portion of her who had been unfortunate. By this injunction, teaches sisters not to violate the requirements of justice towards their relations, nor to make a stepping stone of the disasters of one so united to themselves by blood, nor to acquiescence in or to pride themselves in receiving attention from those who have shown themselves enemies to their relations, or to reciprocate any kind of office received from them. So we have the example with Rachel and Leah and how that was a tumultuous thing. I won't say too tumultuous, but you saw that example. All right. So the Most High allowed things to happen at a particular point. Okay, the permissible will, the brother says. And then when the written law came down, he said, hold up, we're going to cut all of these different things. Okay? And more things may be cut when Yahushua returns. For such things as these arise bitter jealousies and quarrels and enmities, which scarcely admit of reconciliation, but which bring on indescribable host of misfortunes. For that would be just as if the different members of the body were to abandon the harmony and the fellowship in which they are put together by nature, and to quarrel with one another with circumstance must necessarily cause incurable diseases and mischiefs. And sisters are like limbs, which altogether they are separate from one another, are never nevertheless all adapted to one another by nature and natural relationship, and jealousy, which is the most grievous of all passions, is continually producing new and terrible and incurable mischiefs. That's how powerful jealousy is. So no, you can't deal with the sisters. Can't deal with sisters. Okay, no twin Kuba, sister Kuba, no grandma Kuba, no TT Kuba, no stepdaughter Kuba, none of that. No niece worlds. You can't pop your niece. You can't do it. You can't have sex with them because it's not a marriage. Right? You can't lay with them. You can't be with them. Okay? Right? So the sex alone cannot possibly be marriage. That's the point. Sex alone cannot be marriage. Okay, here we go. Again, Moses commands do not either form a connection, a marriage with one of another's nation. Right? So we read that in Deuteronomy 7 as well. He wanted, in Tobit 4 and 12, want us to deal with our women. Okay? All right? And do not seduce into complying with customs inconsistent with your own, and do not stray away from the right and forget the path which leads to piety, turning into a road which is no road. Right? So, men, you know that you will get weak for these women, like plenty of men have got weak for women, and your behind be over there worshiping damn Satan because of that woman. Okay? So, leave that heathen woman alone. Okay? And what did Solomon do? Solomon was in love with the heathen women. He loved them women more than the Israelite women. Right? And that's why he started going off and allowing to build groves and temples and going into idolatry. All right? Okay, so what else we have here? You noticed already, okay? But if proceeds the lawgiver, a woman having been divorced. So here we're talking about divorced woman. But if proceeds the lawgiver, a woman having been divorced from her husband under any pretense, whatever it was, and having married another, has again become a widow. Now she's not with that man. You know, the man gave her a divorce. She got with another man, Deuteronomy 24th chapter. Right? Right? Remember, let's stay in context. But if proceeds the lawgiver, a woman having been divorced from her husband under any pretense, whatever, and having married another, this woman, has again became a widow, whether her second husband is alive or dead, whether he give her a bill of divorce, right? He's still alive or dead. Still, she must not return to her former husband. Okay? You cannot go be with the man. Right? But maybe united to any man in the world, rather than to him. So you get that divorce, you can marry to whoever you want to marry in the world. Okay? So you are not an adulteress if you have a bill of divorce. You can marry whoever you choose to. Okay? Let me read that again. But if any precedes the lawgiver, a woman having been divorced from her husband under any pretense, whatever, and having married another, has again became a widow, whether her second husband is alive or dead, she must not return to her former husband, but may be united to any man in the world rather than to him, having violated her former ties, which she forgot, and having chosen new allurements in the place of the old ones. Right? But if any man should choose to form an alliance with such a woman, so now you want to do the breakup, the makeup, you want to go back to the worlds, right? You're going back to her after you done divorced her, gave her the bill of divorce. The bill of divorce, now she done got with another man. Now you want to get back with her, okay? But if any man choose to form an alliance with such a woman, he must be content to bear the reputation of effeminacy. Wow. You go back after you gave her the bill of divorce. You say, I should have gave you the divorce, baby. I should have gave you the divorce. Once you gave that bill of divorce, and she got with another Rod's world, so you go back, right? So you're feminine and a complete want of manly courage and vigor. So you say you ain't even a man. Oh my goodness, that's crazy. As if he has been castrated and deprived of the most useful portion of the soul. You have no mama thanks. Namely, that disposition which hates iniquity, by which the affairs both of houses and cities are placed on a good footing, and having stamped deeply on his character two of the greatest of all iniquities, which it says adultery and employment of a pander. So what's a pander? The definition of a pander. The act as a go-between liaison in sexual intrigues. To cater lower tastes and desires of others or exploit their weakness. A person who procures a sexual partner for another, pimp. The go-between, right? So now you done got rid of the woman. You divorced the woman, right? You divorced her, right? And so now, right, you want to go back with the worlds after you done put her away, after she's divorced from you. Both sides say you are effeminate, man. You effeminate, right? You lack manly courage and vigor, right? So as you've been castrated, man. You're a simp, okay? Right? Right? So understand in the context what we're reading, in case of a divorce, Deuteronomy 24. Okay? Let's go. All right, so a pander is go-between, aka like a pimp, right? You done got rid of the woman, other man smashed. Now you going back to the world. Why did you divorce the woman? Why you left the woman? If you didn't want to be with her. Right? So, It says adultery and employment of a parent for the reconciliation which take subsequently or indication of the death of each. Let him therefore suffer the punishment appointed together with his wife. So both of you should be up out of here, according to what we're reading right here in Philo. And there are particular periods affecting the health of the woman when a man may not touch her, but during that time he must abstain from all connection with her, respecting the laws of nature. And at the same time, he must learn not to waste his vigor in the pursuit of an unseemly and barbarous pleasure, which is when a woman on her period. For such conduct would be like that of a husbandman who, out of drunkenness or suddenly insanity, should sow wheat or barley in lakes or flooded torrents instead of over the fertile plains. For it's proper to cast seed upon fields when they are dry, in order that it may bear abundant fruit. But nature each month cleanses the womb as if it were some field of marvelous fertility. The proper season for her fertilizing, which must be watched for by the husband as if he were a skillful husbandman, in order to withhold his seed and abstain from sowing it at a time when it is inundated. For if he do not do so, the seed without his perceiving it will be swept away by the moisture, not only having all its spiritual energies relaxed, but having them in fact utterly dissolved. Okay? See that? So if you get some bloody quabah, is that a marriage? Is that right? Is that good? Is that cool? Is that wholesome? No. All right? These are the persons who form animals in that workshop of nature, the womb, who are perfect with the most consummated skills, each separate one of the parts of the body and soul. But when the periods of illness which I've spoken of are interrupted, and he may with confidence shower his seed into the ground, ready to receive it, no longer fearing that there will be any loss of the seed thus sowed. But those people deserve to be reproached who are plowing a hard and stony soil. So no, you should not be getting the bloody quabah. The woman talk about it feels better on my period. No, you're gonna feel like a piece of crap. Okay. Now I've done that in the world. I've done it in the world, full-fledged. Being being a simp for the woman, feeling like a piece of shit. Nasty. This disgusted, sick of it. Right? Finished. Reynolds, wrap, over, done. Okay? Boy, that woman, boy, something else. Boy, that woman can have a nigga do all type of crazy ish. Strap it down. That quabah, the power of the quabah. Woo, boy. Sheesh. Right? Where we at now? Here we go, right here. Part 34. For these people deserve to be reproached who are plowing a hard and stony soil. And who can these be but they who have connected themselves with barren women? So check this out. Now we're talking about women that's barren. For such men are only hunters after intemperate pleasures. What does intemperate mean? Intemperate, not temperate, moderate, especially in rhetoric or tone, unrestrained, given to excess drinking of alcoholic beverage, consuming alcohol. Okay. All right. So it's talking about these men trying to find a woman that can't have children. Right? But such men are only hunters after intemperate pleasure. They drinking it, having a good time, whatever. And in excess of their lascivious. Let me look up this word. I know how to say it, but I don't know how to say it. So let me be able to pronounce it. licentious.
Licentious.
Licentious. Say it again. Say it again.
Licentious.
Licentious. Lacking moral restraint, especially in sexual conduct. Okay? So it says, but such men are only hunters are after intemperate pleasure, sex, and in the excess of their licentious passions, they waste their seed of their own deliberate purpose. Wow. So it's talking about wasting your seed here. Waste their seed of their own deliberate purpose. And the context is who have connected themselves with barren women. Since for what other reason can they espouse such women? Since for what other reason can they espouse such women? It cannot be for hope of children, which they are aware must of necessity be disappointed, but rather to gratify their excess in lust and incurable incontinence. Wow, boy, them some cold cuts. Them some cold cuts. So if you got a woman that can't have children, you according to Philo here, you're going off. Wow. Let me read that again. And who can these be but they who have connected themselves with barren women? For such men are only hunters after intemperate pleasure, and in the excess of licentious passion, sex, they waste their seed of their own deliberate purpose. And for what other reason can they espouse these such women? They cannot be for hope of children, which they are aware must of necessity be disappointed, but rather to gratify the excess in lust and incurable incontinence. Wow. Wow, 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 wow. So basically right here, what it's saying here is why are you taking on a woman or women that cannot have children? Which the only reason you must be having them is to have sex and pleasure. Is not to procreate and have children. Hard body. Hard body. Philo. 35. As many men, therefore, as married virgins, in ignorance of how they would turn out as regard their prolificness, or the contrary, look up that word. Boy, that was hard. Producing offspring or fruit in great abundance. Okay. So because she's a virgin, you marry her just because she's a virgin. There's a lot of cuts now, more cuts, cold cuts. I'm going to get her because she's a virgin. I don't want no woman that already got children. I'm going to get the one with the virgin because she's a virgin. Right? So it says, as many men, therefore, as married virgins, as in ignorance of how they will turn out as regards their prolificness. Let me see if I said prolificness, or be able to have children, offspring. Or the contrary, with after a long time they perceive by their never having any children that they are barren, and do not then put them away. Wow. Sound like the Nazarenes and the Essenes. And do not put them away, are still worthy of pardon, being influenced by habit and familiarity, which are motives of great weight, and being also unable to break through the power of those ancient charms, which by long habituations are stamped upon their souls. Right? So you saying you got this woman and she can't even have children. Why you still with her? Because if we go by early in the testimonies, talk about we get into these relationships and have sex for having children. Okay? We're reading Philo. Okay? An Israelite from the tribe of Judah. And it says, but they're never having any children. And they are barren, and do not then put them away, are still worthy of pardon, right? They can be pardoned from that relationship, being influenced by habit and from morality, which are motives of great weight, being also unable to break through the power of those ancient charms, which by long habituations are stamped upon their souls. But those who marry women who have been previously tested by other men and ascertained to be barren, do merely covet the carnal enjoyment like so many boars or goats, and deserve to be inscribed among the list of impious men as enemies to God. For God, as being friendly to all the animals that exist, especially to man, takes all imaginable care to secure preservation and duration to every kind of creature. But those who seek to waste all their power at the very moment of putting it forth are confessedly enemies of nature. So, wow, that's hard body. Most High said, you should be taking a woman that can have children. So that theory or that concept of marrying older women, do men marry older or women marry younger? As I mentioned even earlier, men usually always marry younger because they have children, and the women can still have children. So basically, women are designed to have children. The natural order of things, Romans the first chapter. So why would I tell a young man to marry an older woman that can't have children? All right. Shout out to Jeremiah and them, and Yaakov out in Georgia. We had these conversations, right? So it's desirable to have a woman that can have children. Whether she's a virgin, she could be barren. That shouldn't be the motivation. But you shouldn't marry a woman that can have children. So how a lot of these women that said they tie their tubes, according to what we're reading here, they're not marriage material. So if you tied your tubes, it's a Reynolds wrap for you. I mean, it depends on what we're reading. It's hard body here, man. We taking women that can't have children. We're going back to a woman that you divorced. And all these things deals with sex, pleasure. Hard body, man. It's crazy. Woo, boy, head choppers going out here. Bow. Huh? Hard body. I'm just reading it, man. I'm just reading. That's all I'm doing. I'm just reading. Don't worry about it. You just read. Okay. So, point 37. Moreover, another evil much greater than that which we have already mentioned has made its way among and been let loose upon cities, namely the love of boys. There you go, the pedophilia, which formerly was accounted as great infamy, even to be spoken of, by which sin is subject of boasting, not only to those who practice it, but even to those who suffer it, who've been accustomed to bearing the affection of being treated like women, waste away as to both their souls and bodies, not bearing about them a single spark of a manly character, to be kindled into a flame by having even the hair of their heads conspicuously curled and adorned, and having their faces smeared with vermilion makeup and paint and things of that kind, and having their eyes penciled beneath, and having their skins anointed with fragrant perfumes. For such persons as these, a sweet smell is a most seductive quality, and being well appointed in everything that tends to beauty or elegance are not ashamed to devote their constant study and endeavors to the task of changing their manly character into an effeminate one. 38. For it is natural for those who obey the law to consider such person worthy of death, since the law commands that a man, woman who adulterates the precious coinage of his nature shall die without redemption, not allowing him to live a single day or even a single hour, as he is disgraced to himself and to his family and to his country and to the whole race of mankind. Wow. That's homosexuality, Leviticus 20:13, Romans 1. And let the man who is devoted to the love of boys subject to the same punishment. This is their molestations. Love of boys, homosexuality, these men making these boys, since he pursued that pleasure which is contrary to nature, and since as far as depends upon him, he will make the cities desolate and void and empty of inhabitants, wasting his power of propagating his species, and moreover being a guide and teacher of those greatest of all evils, unmanliness and effeminate lust, stripping young men of the flower of their beauty and wasting their prime of life in effeminacy, which he ought rather, on the other hand, to train to vigor and acts of courage and lasting for, because like a worthless husbandman, he allowed fertile and productive lands to lie fallow, contriving that they should continue barren, and labors night and day at cultivating that soil, which he never expects any produce at all. And I imagine that the cause of this is that among many nations there are actual rewards given for intemperance and effeminacy. At all events, one may see men, women continually strutting throughout the marketplace at midday and leading to processions and festivals, and impious men as they are, having received by lot the charge of the temple in the beginning and sacred initiating rites and concerning even the holy mysteries of Ceres. And some of these persons have carried their admiration of these delicate pleasures of youth so far that they have desired wholly to change the condition of that of a woman, and have castrated themselves and have clothed themselves in purple robes like those who have been the cause of great blessings to their native land, walked about attended by bodyguards and pushing down everyone whom they meet. These things are happening today. Sex changes. Okay? All right? So just because you have sex with the same sex doesn't make that a marriage at all. Okay? They also have a section here talking about having sex with animals. Okay? It says, in Crete, the wife of Minos, the king by name, Sophia, fell in love with a bull and became very violent in her passion from the spirit of being able to gratify it, for love which falls in its object is usually increased in no ordinary degree, right? And so it talked about is usually increased to no ordinary degree, so that at last he reported to Daedalus the affection by which he was overwhelmed, and he was the most skillful of all woodmen of his kind, and he being very ingenious, so as by his contrivance to discover things undiscoverable to anyone else, made a cow of wood and put Pasiphae into it at one of its sides, and the bull rushed at the wooden cow as if it had been an animal of his own kind, and Pasiphae became pregnant at a certain period, brought forth an animal, half man and half beast, called the Minotaur. So we probably all see these different things before, I believe also, and talk about making phallics and stuff like that, which you got your so-called your toys that women use, or you're having sex. But is that a marriage? Are you married to the phallic symbol? Right? So it says it's very likely that there may be other Sapphires also with passions equally unbridled, and that not women only, but men likewise may be made fall madly in love with animals, from whom perhaps desirable monsters may be born, being memorials of the excessive pollution of men. So going into sleeping with animals. Okay? So the point is, I'm going to end this right quick. I don't want to be too long. That you have various things concerning sex. And as we went through this lesson or Philo concerning it, it showed that just having sex alone cannot be married. So I'm gonna go over some more of this later. I don't want this to be a long lesson. I'm gonna do a part 2 of Philo. So all praise go to the Most High. I'm gonna do a part 3 of this. Okay, I don't want this to be too long, too drawn out. Okay, so all praise go to Yahweh Shem Mashak Yahushua. Check the book of Philo out. Have any questions, email me at priestmaharcall@gmail.com. A lot of information. I may do a summary over it next time we do the class. But enjoy the rest of your day. Enjoy your Shabbat, man. Study, show yourself improve. Endure to the end. Pray. Ask for forgiveness. Ask for those that you have trespassed against to forgive you. Forgive those that trespass against you as well. All I can say as a man in the walk in the flesh, man, is just continue to try to be. You know, scripture says, be not over righteous while destroy yourself, be not over wicked while die before your time. Repent to Yahweh Bashem and Mashiach Yahushua. Try to be at peace with all men. Okay, don't get caught up in the hype. Don't allow men to or women to deceive you. To the Lord, to the testimony they speak not according to this word, and enlighten them. And just try to be steadfast, man. Raise your family, raise your children. And live your life. Enjoy your life, man. You know what I'm saying? The Most High told you to enjoy the fruits of your labor, man. You know what I'm saying? Read the book of Ecclesiastes. Okay? So with that, I'm going to say Shabbat Shalom. Most High bless. Hope everybody is good. Those that been on the stream or they watch the stream, may the Most High bless you. And that you enjoy the rest of your day.
We real men of valor, we stand firm and rise. For this truth, we put our lives on the line. We're prepared for war, fearing no confrontation. We hit the highways and byways to wake up the whole nation. We teach His word, we teach His will, we teach His truth, don't matter how you feel. We teach His word, we teach His will. You gon' hear this first, now tell me how you feel.